Aldo Costa spends 5 decades and more than $200,000 of his own money trying to build a machine that will run forever on the free energy. However, Aldo Costa is known for building a large kinetic sculpture called the Perpetual motion wheel in Italy. This structure, located in the town of Monopoli, is not considered a true perpetual motion machine by scientists but rather a mechanical artwork that relies on external energy sources such as wind or manual intervention. Even if it requires wind to operate and can generate electricity, why has no one explored this option in detail? Let's watch clips of the giant perpetual motion wheel created by Aldo Costa.
Aldo Costa lives in a small village just outside Paris. He's a retired car mechanic who for the past 50 years has been obsessed with a single idea: to design the ultimate perpetual motion machine.
À peu près 70.
70. Voilà. Recently, his story was picked up by French journalist and author Jean-Pierre Lantin.
And one day, he got his first idea by working on a crashed car, and that was about 50 years ago, and he had this dream that in his mind would make him the equal of Faraday, Marconi, Edison, or Einstein.
As a single-handed project, this giant wheel is an extraordinary achievement in itself. Standing 5 stories high and weighing more than 20 tons, Aldo Costa claims it'll run forever under its own power with no fuel, and that it'll generate enough free energy to light up a small town. Flying in the face of conventional science, such a project inevitably attracts the skeptics, such as this man. Amateur thespian, full-time engineer and part-time scoutmaster, the self-appointed policeman of the free energy movement, Eric Krieg.
For the past 7 years, I've had a prize offer of $10,000 out for proof of free energy, which may or may not be a perpetual motion machine. I've talked to many people from around the world who believe that they will soon get my prize, but as yet, no one has showed up to take the test.
Aldo Costa would have some difficulty in transporting his wheel from France to America, but with the help of Jean-Pierre, he sent Eric an email claiming the $10,000. Dear Monsieur Eric, I have constructed a perpetual motion wheel that will run forever with no fuel. Please, I would like to claim your $10,000 prize. Signed, Aldo Costa.
There have been some complex working devices. They've been called perpetual motion machines by the inventors themselves. As for Aldo Costa of France, I don't know too much about him. There's not much on the internet. He is a relatively new contender for the Perpetual Motion Prize, but you simply can't get energy out of nothing.
Eric Krieg has history on his side. Over the centuries, there have been literally thousands of perpetual motion designs, none of which have ever worked, and it has driven many a good man to despair, fraud, madness and suicide.
What is important to understand about Aldo's work, if one wheel is not enough to generate much power, but if the system works, if hundreds of wheels in series could be constructed, it should be enough to generate power to the whole world.
To understand the extraordinary claims Aldo Costa was making, here is a classic perpetual motion design, and there appears no reason why it shouldn't work. The weight of the falling balls turns the main wheel, which in turn raises the elevator that brings the balls back up to the top for reuse. At the same time, the wheel operates this generator, and we have a fuelless machine that will run forever, supplying us with free energy. Yeah, not quite. Unfortunately, the weight of the balls on the elevator, plus the friction of the various moving parts, together with the extra power needed to turn the generator, all add up to greater than the energy provided by the weight of the falling balls. So, fulfilling the current laws of physics, this machine wouldn't achieve a single turn of the wheel, let alone run forever. Now, as soon as you say, if perhaps the angle of the elevator could be a little less steep, and maybe the ball's a bit bigger, then you're in deep trouble. You are in danger of becoming obsessed by perpetual motion and spending the rest of your life divorced from your spouse and married to a machine. As Aldo Costa would tell you, obsession is a hard taskmaster, but at last, after half a century, he claims he has overcome all the pitfalls of perpetual motion. And if he has, this machine is a real threat to those individuals, companies and countries whose fortunes have been underpinned by gas, oil and coal, plus perhaps others who have a vested interest in maintaining the status quo.
So far, since the machine is finished, Aldo has had visits from physicians from a lot of countries, actually, from Italy, from Canada, from Russia, and also some eminent French scientists, some of them member of the Science Academy, to establish if it's really what we can call perpetual motion or not.
But the wheel keeps on turning.
Dans un temps égal, dans un temps absolu.
As a trained mechanic and self-taught mathematician, Aldo was fully aware of the laws of physics, but he claims to have broken through the battle against friction and gravity. He explained that the wheel was always heavier on one side than the other. On the end of the spokes, there are 256 movable weights. At the bottom of the wheel's arc, the green levers activate these individual mechanisms. Each weight in turn is pushed toward the center of the wheel, at the same time contracting the light springs inside the green plastic covers. Then, as the weights reach the top of the arc, a similar system is used to trip the springs, allowing the weights to be pushed back towards the perimeter of the wheel. Thus, the half of the wheel moving downwards is always heavier than the half moving upwards. And according to Aldo, the wheel must therefore turn forever. Perpetual motion is of course only one way of producing free energy. But what of Aldo Costa and his claim for the $10,000 Perpetual Motion Prize? Eric Krieg surprised everyone in his final response to Aldo Costa's challenge. Indeed, it appeared as though Mohammed really had come to the mountain.
There must be something special about it more than a...
Yeah, and then everybody, there's this, everywhere you have this little masses, which is 2 kilograms each.
Wow, this thing is huge. See how this works.
Not only, it seems, had Aldo done the maths, but with every nut, bolt and rivet, he had backed his absolute belief that, contrary to the current laws of physics, energy can be produced by a fuel-less machine. He had, he believed, found the holy grail of science, perpetual motion.
It is a nice view of the French countryside from high up in the air here. It is impressive that one old man built all of this himself.
Dix, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. Monsieur Eric, quand on l'arrête, la roue, on la tient, on la lâche, pourquoi elle repart?
So when the wheel is stopped, why did the wheel start again?
Some friction is variable. There are other sources of power that can come in. The wind can make a slight amount of power. The sun hitting one side and not the other side can expand it a little bit and make it counterbalance that it might move. From my experience with science and engineering, I can't see how this would ever be a source for external energy. In fact, with all the different sources of friction on this, I don't believe it can be a perpetual motion machine.
Pour lui, il voit pas d'où la puissance viendrait. Par contre, il voit beaucoup où la puissance pourra être dissipée par notamment tous les mécanismes de friction.
D'après toutes les explications que vient de me donner M. Eric, les objections sont réelles, il les pense vraiment. Mais c'est l'opinion d'un seul homme. Et ça s'arrête là.
That, said Aldo, is the opinion of just one man. And the wheel keeps on turning.
A sailboat can run on wind. Why can't we use wind as a source to power the giant wheel? Aldo Costa's giant wheel, given an initial push, can revolve for 3 hours with the aid of the wind. He envisions full-scale versions transforming deserts into oases and breaking big oil's grip on the world if only he had a perpetual money machine. If someone explored this further and invested money in giant perpetual motion wheel created by Aldo Costa, it could potentially be used to generate electricity.